ladies. Welcome to Donna's Sewing Circle. Come on in. We saved a spot for you. How are you today? You must be a beginner quilter for you to have found me today on this wonderful world of web. So welcome. Come on in. Today is lesson 14 of a 15-part series. Today we're going to go over a lot of the mistakes that beginners make, and hopefully I can keep you guys from making those mistakes so your first quilt is absolutely stunning. All right. The first mistake that a lot of people make is like the wrong seam allowance. I always tell my quilters to follow the edge of their sewing, the edge of their foot when they sew. And if you follow the edge of your foot, you should have a nice straight seam. If you follow the edge of your foot on every block, that will make it okay. If you don't make a straight line or you don't start at the same place on every block, you will have uneven blocks. And when it comes to cutting them, if you don't cut, you've seen me. Here, let me show you. Like, you've seen me. I have my setup. Let's say I need to cut this block. If I don't have it lined up when I'm ready to cut, if I'm not paying attention, and if it's off even a little bit, if it's not on that line when I cut it, or if it's off that line and then when I lay it on here and it's supposed to be on this line here, but I don't pay attention and I have it off, then it'll be doubly off and you will have a crooked cut. And it's very hard to line your quilt up if you've cut it crooked, if your seam's not right, if you've sewed it crooked. There's one time in the entire quilting process where you can correct some of those mistakes, and that's when you square it up. Squaring it up, which is cutting off the excess, when you make this a 10-inch block and it overhangs on either side. Sometimes you can fix a mess by squaring it up. Sometimes it's too bad and you can't, and you have to start all over. That happened to one of my students. A very young girl couldn't sew a straight line for anything, and I didn't want to hurt her feelings. So when it came to squaring up her blocks, because I did that for my students, her blocks were like way off. They were more than an inch off. I mean, the poor girl couldn't sew a straight line. And I did all the cutting, so it wasn't anything that she did in that way. It's just that she couldn't sew a straight line. I couldn't straighten it up. I literally had to get fabric that matched hers and recreate what she did. I did not tell her because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but making a straight line is very, very important, and that's the biggest mistake beginner quilters make, is they don't do a straight line. So if I can convince you of anything, sewing a straight line, cutting a straight line, if you can do those two things, you're going to have a really pretty quilt. So if you can sew a straight line and cut a straight line, the rest of it we can fix. Okay? Those are the two biggest mistakes. If we can fix those, your quilt will be beautiful. If we could keep you from making the mistake to begin with, make a straight line, sew a straight line, work on that before you start on your quilt. Work on making a straight line. Go back to my beginner sewing class. I always make my students begin there before they make their first quilt. They have to know how to sew a straight line and complete that class. So if you haven't done that class, go ahead and binge watch it. There's 15 videos there too. Watch those, because making a straight line is very, very important for making a quilt. For doing anything sewing related, a straight line is very important. So that's the number one mistake, and then cutting is number two. Another one is stretching your fabric. If you iron and hold your fabric, let me see if I can show you that. So when you're ironing, when you have it here, if you start pressing down and pulling on it, you're going to stretch it out of shape. And then you won't have a square anymore. You'll have something else. And it's really hard once you stretch it out of shape to get it to work the way you want it. So ironing is very important. See, these two blocks are the same size. They don't look like it anymore because of the way I was ironing it. They started out the same size. Or I think they did. Maybe they didn't. Maybe this was something I didn't cut. But at any rate, that's what I mean. Don't you pull your fabric and yank it and twist it. Be very careful when you're ironing it. Don't push and pull it. Let the iron do the work for you. And I usually will iron my seams straight down. Some people would rather open them up like this. That's, to me, that's too tedious because the other way works perfectly also. So there's that way or that way. I prefer this way. So that's another thing that people make a mistake on, is stretching their fabric when they're ironing. And that goes along with the ironing. A lot of people are in a hurry and they'll skip ironing altogether. And that's a big mistake. You have to iron in between each step before you put two pieces together. Iron the creases out, iron the seam. You've got to prepare your fabric before each step. So ironing in between each step is just as important as cutting it correctly and just as important as sewing a straight line. Those are the three big ones for quilting. And the other one is squaring your blocks, which I showed you. We've already squared these. People will skip this step and think, oh, it won't matter. Oh, it matters. If you do not square your block up, like when you get done sewing these and you've got a crooked line or you cut it crooked, if you do not square these up, your quilt will not come together properly. Let's say you don't square this up and it measures 11 inches. And then your other blocks are 10 inches. So if you've got a 10-inch here and then you put an 11-inch block here and a 10-inch block here and a 10-inch block here and so forth, when you get down here, this one will go together right, but this one will not because it's 11 inches instead of 10. So you'll have puckering, you'll have a gap, and you'll be ready to throw your quilt away. You'll pull your hair out and you'll wonder what is going on. It's because you didn't square. Be sure anytime you join more than one block together, you have to square these up. That's very important. That's just as important as sewing a straight seam. It's just as important as cutting a straight line. It's just as important as pressing in between each step. You've got to square your blocks. I will teach you that as we go when we get ready to do the quilting. All right? I hope I impressed that very hard into your little noggin because it's very important. Write it down, whatever you have to do. If you get my book, you can write it in the notes in great big letters. Sew a straight line. Cut a straight line. Whatever it takes. But you can purchase my book. I've got a link either in the comment and or the description. And the book follows along this 15-part series. So you don't always have to refer back to the video to know what Donna said. It'll be in the book. You can highlight it. You can mark it up. It's just a workbook, and it'll be something handy to have beside your desk as you're quilting. Something to fall back on if you have questions. Okay, so we're almost done. One more lesson, lesson 15. And then we'll basically be going over everything we learned so we can get ready to quilt. That's our next class. One more class. So I'll see you in a few minutes in part 15. God bless.